Let's get started. Thank you for joining this webinar about fear. This webinar is about embracing fear and trying to figure out if fear is our friend or our foe, when it's helpful and also when fear is in our way. So before I'll explain more about myself in the webinar, let's go back in time to 2,000 years ago. Did you know that the Celtic people, they had this habit? They were afraid, especially before the 1st of November, of the ghosts and the spirits. So what they did is, on the one hand, they tried to scare them away. They put on scary masks, they put all kind of things, scary things around where they lived, to try to scare away the spirits. But what they also did is they thought, maybe if we treat them right, they will treat us well as well. So they put on some food and they left things outside to keep them in a good mood. And even up to today, it depends on the country where you come from. Some countries don't have this habit. This Tuesday, kids will go out onto the street. They will wear scary masks. They will ring the doorbells asking trick or treat, like, treat, if you treat me nice, give me some sweets, I'll just walk, I'll continue my way and I won't do anything. But if you don't give me anything sweet, I will do something nasty to you. So isn't it funny that 2,000 years ago, the Celtic people were already working on breaking the head around this question, like, how do we deal with threat or fear or difficult situations? And 2,000 years later, we still are working on this question, what to do with fear. And the difference is, back then, they didn't have electricity and they didn't have internet. And nowadays, we have people from all over the world sharing their experience and their questions and trying to find out ways to deal with this fear. So I'm really happy that you're here and I will explore the fear. In this 30 minutes, I will be sharing some theory, an inspiring video, we'll do a reflection exercise. Because I don't know the reason why you joined our webinar. Maybe you have a concrete decision to take, or you're afraid, or maybe some traumas in the past. But it's good to know general knowledge, and we have access to self-help books and internet. But it's also important to reflect on your specific fear or the situation where you're in. So there's going to be 30 minutes. At the end, we'll have a little present for you, a little treat. So stay with us till the very end. And also, I don't know if you've seen the introduction video, I showed you a monster. This is my son's fear monster. We built it for him to help him deal with his fear. And I will reveal later at the end of this webinar, what is the power of this animal? Because the power is in his belly. So maybe you figure it out on the way. And if not, I will tell you by the end. So he'll be back. What about me? My name is Martina Hulsman. I'm from Holland, but I live in Brazil with my husband and my 2 kids. And I work as an expert and life coach. And together with Flora Frank, we founded Feel at Home Abroad, which is an online expert coaching company. And our mission is to help people all over the world to feel heard and supported, and also to transform the challenges of their life or their life abroad into a meaningful experience. So we do one-on-one coaching, but also webinars like this. So let's get started. So we get started with a theory. So talking about fear, this guy, I was sitting in the same position. This guy is Darwin. He traveled the world because he wanted to find out why it is that some animals survive and others don't. And he found that fear is a great tool for survival. Because in a situation when we feel fear, we feel our amygdala, our brain gets a message that our full focus should be on this threat. And it's either fight or flight. And this is what we hear, fight or flight. And I don't know about you, but so often do we feel like we're in the middle. We don't know if we have to fight or if we want to flight. And we feel uncertain and we feel paralyzed about what to do. And I think it's important that we see that we differentiate between fear, because there's an imminent threat. For example, if one night you go out to a drugstore and this guy comes in and he points a gun at your head, you know you're in danger and that all your energy should be focused on survival. But also, maybe 2 weeks later, when you go out to the street again, then you see, then you still feel that this guy is around the corner, that he's everywhere. You still feel this fear, but it's anxiety because the guy isn't there anymore. But you still feel there's a threat, but this threat isn't imminent. It could be there, but it's not very likely. And the way your body, but also your mind treats this danger should be different, because if you're in a situation of danger, you can dedicate all your energy to it. But if the threat is not there, if it's not imminent, then you should also be focusing on other things. So basically in fear, it's fight or flight. Let's have a look at a video of a great general. It's not a general, it's admiral. He happens to be from the American Navy. I picked him because I basically liked the way he expressed himself. Let's listen to his words and about whether we should fight or flight.
Change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks.
So this is this tough soldier. He says, whatever happens, don't act afraid. Stand your ground. And by the way, I see new people join us. Thank you for joining. Great you're here. We already started, explained the trick and treat, and basically that this webinar is about the question, so we fight or flight? How do we deal with our fears? And this general who says, start every morning in making your bed, he also says, like, don't act afraid. Stand your ground. And there are many sharks in the world. And I don't know about you, but when I look at myself and also my coachees, so often I hear that they feel like everybody seems to be great things. Everybody seems to be courageous. I think in society nowadays, there's this subtle message that we should all be brave. And also, if you just believe in yourself, if you have a goal, then just jump and make it happen. But I think that doesn't always work, not for everybody, and also not in all situations. So I think it's worth it also to look, to have a look at the other side of fear. And that's not the trick, but the treat, the flight. Let's have a look.
Change the world.
And I think basically sometimes it's okay to be scared. I'm a mother of 2 children, and when I look at my children, maybe you have children, what do you do when a child is afraid? The other day I did a workshop on an international school for parents, how to deal with their fear, but also with their children's fear. And basically when you read books, the steps are when a child is afraid, for example, there's a huge dog running up to him. The first thing you do, he starts screaming and he'll start running to daddy or mommy. the first thing you could do is just give him a hug and say, it's okay, mommy or daddy is here, I'll protect you. And then you ask him, what is it that you're afraid of? And then he'll say, this tiger is coming up to me. And then you explain the situation. You say, it's not a tiger, it's a dog. He's not going to eat you because he gets proper food. And I know this dog because he lives in the other street. So you explain to him it's no danger. And maybe you even show him the way. Like, let's touch him together. Let's just pat him on the back. And you go together and the child touches the dog and he's proud of himself. And maybe you would even say as well, like, this dog is not dangerous, but when we go out to the city center, there are streetless dogs, so don't touch them. And that's like the ideal. If the child is afraid, always comfort him first, then ask what he's afraid of, explore this fear, and then work it out together a way to deal with it. Right, that's a theory. And there again, me, but also other parents, I see it's not always working that way, because sometimes we're impatient, or sometimes we compare our kid to other kids and they say, he can do it, so you can do it as well. And the reason I'm raising this question is not just for you as a parent, but especially for you. When you look at how you deal with your fear, do you allow yourself every now and then to treat yourself as a child? If you're afraid, do you reach out for somebody that can help you explore this fear, or just to share, like, hey, I'm scared? Sometimes it might be good to do as a child, because I think when we're looking at being scared, I think fear is a reminder of our vulnerability. I'm an existential counselor and coach, and basically my belief is that the world isn't always perfect. There will always be challenges and difficult situations, or moments that we're lonely. And fear is a reminder of our vulnerability. That's part of this life. But it's also a reminder of our vitality to take up the challenges of life. And the way, what I do with coaches, but also I think a way to deal with fear is don't suppress, disguise, or deny this anxiety, but try to see its message. What is he trying to tell you? And from there, you can explore creative ways to live with it constructively. And one lady that wrote a lot about vulnerability, Brené Brown, she says, quite often we're concerned with the questions, can I do it? Am I really able to do this? But the question shouldn't be if you could, but especially if you want to. See if it's a thing, a situation, a goal that's in line with your personal values, what you believe is important in life for you or also for the ones you love. And then ask yourself, how can I make myself do it? But not first to prove yourself, to show that you're worthy, that you're powerful, that you can do it. First ask yourself if you could do it. And this brings me to what I believe is like the 3 basic human needs that we all have. And if we apply them to fear, I think the first one is to be heard in essence. Of course, we have our masks and we're trying to live up to other people's expectations, but somewhere it's also very important that we feel we are heard in our essence, that we are loved for who we are, with our perfect imperfections, that we know we deserve love, whether we do difficult things and make this jump or not. And the third one, especially important when we talk about facing fear or difficult situations, is the right to take mistakes. You cannot learn something if you don't make mistakes. When we look at children, the way they walk, of course, first they fall before they can really walk. And for us, it's the same. We need to make mistakes to be able to do something. And of course, we want to avoid them. But it's okay to make mistakes. So this is basically the theory. And now it would be good, because this is about theory in fear in general. Are you somebody who really wants to face difficult situations and be tough and do the treat? Or are you somebody that's more scared and first needs to analyze before you jump? So let's take the time to have a look at your fears. I will ask you some questions. I hope you all have pen and paper to write something down. And I won't put a music, because some people don't like music. They prefer the silence. So if you feel you can reflect better with a bit of background music, put on some music you like. And if you don't, just make yourself comfortable. I hope you have a glass of water, a pen of paper, and let's get started. And now we'll do it only like 10 minutes. In real sessions, we work an hour and a half on fear, hearing its messages. So let's get started. The first question, pick one fear, the one that first comes to your mind. Write it down. And then when you look at this fear, see him as a guest, as somebody that knocks on your door, you open, and you say, okay, I didn't invite you, but please come in, sit down. I will listen to you, but only for a while. You're welcome. I'll serve you some sweets, but only for a while. You're my guest. And then you ask him, what is your message? What are you trying to warn me for? And as you write down these messages, what is the message behind the message? And just write them down. What else? What's the message behind the message? And then when you look at those messages, which messages are really important, really realistic, like they say, this could happen. But also which messages are not so important, very unlikely to happen. Go through the messages and the warnings and mark them, which is important and which is not. And when you know your fear, when you know what are his messages and warnings, which one are important and which one are not, ask yourself, what are the skills and the qualities that you have to face the consequences? This difficult situation or this danger that something could happen or could go wrong. What are the skills and qualities that you have to face the consequences? And also think about the qualities and the skills that you need to develop to face these consequences or these possible consequences. What do you have and what do you need to develop? So now that you've listened to his messages, and also ask yourself, like, which one is really important, and wipe out the ones that are not so important. It's nice to take this angle to see, okay, what are the skills and the qualities that you have? So you know you can deal with the situation or the consequences, but also knowing what else you could do to be able to face these things. So fear has served this purpose. It's time to send the visitor, the fear. Thank him. Thank him for his messages and send him away. So when you look at fear in this way, and of course now it's only 5 minutes, but I'm really wondering what you were thinking about and where it was helpful. So I hope you will be sharing with me some things later. Because quite often when I see with coachees, for example, there was this girl, she wanted to have coaching because she always quit jobs within 1 year. And she wanted to break this habit. So as we were trying to figure out what was happening, the first that we found out was like she had this limiting belief that as a child, her parents always told her, you never finish something. So she believed, and she said, I will never finish something because I always give up, I'm a quitter. And then as we looked at it, like, is that really true? She finished university, she finished several things, but her focus was always on her belief that she would never finish something. And then as we did the next step, it's okay, when do you quit your jobs? What is behind it? She said that mostly she was quitting jobs, she was not aware of it, but when she was about to make a promotion, she got scared because she had this fear that she might be discovered, found out that she was not so great as people thought, and that she wouldn't be able to live up to the expectations from the next job. So we did this exercise, like, what are the skills that you have? She was a great communicator, she was a great girl, everybody liked her. But also asking, like, what else would you need to develop? She figured out that she was quite disorganized, not meeting deadlines, her time management was not so good. So she had a reason to be afraid not to be able to do this next level job because she wasn't organized enough yet to do this. So she made the promotion. At the same time, she worked on time management and organization skills. So her fear of not being able to do the job properly was right. And she listened to his fear, but she also knew what she had to work on. And let's go to the last slides before you will all have the opportunity to share experiences, ask questions. Let's get back to the tough general, the admiral, from the very beginning. Let's hear what he has to say at the end of his presentation.
I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
And I don't know about you, but I think it's not to all of us to change the world, but all little step we do in facing our fears, to look facing fear in the eyes, will make us grow as a person. And whether your goal is to be a Mandela or just to have a bit easier life, or to be able to improve the life of the people around you, whatever it is, it's the hope that I like in his message. And Eleanor Roosevelt, the former First Lady of the USA, she said, we gain strength and courage and confidence by every experience by which we really stop to look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. And I think so often when we're facing a difficult situation, we're just focused on the difficulties, but we forget to look at the past and the difficult situation we passed through already. We were afraid then, but we did it. And yes, sometimes we failed, but even when we fail, if we picture the situation, then we see that we can live with it probably. And also, as the military guy said, reach out to people for help. You're not alone. You can do it together. And that brings me back. I will finish with this monster. For those of you, I won't repeat it. This monster is my son, my 5 years old son, Fear Monster. And the secret why he's so powerful is in his belly. And it's really simple. I like simple things because they work. What we do is we write down his fear, and he will throw it into the belly of this monster and ask the monster, please help me because, for example, I'm afraid of the dark. So as we throw it in the monster, he feels more protected. But just the act of writing it down, sharing it with somebody, and of course ask, what else can we do? And then he say, okay, I want some light, and I will check below my bed if there's any spiders before he goes to sleep. So he'll do his part, and he will feel supported by this monster. So what I would like you to do as well is write down, either handwritten and send me a WhatsApp picture, or write me an email with your fear. I will throw it in the monster, but just by writing it down that this is a fear you want to work on, you already start working on it. And in 1 month time, I will send you an email asking like, hey, how are you doing with your fear? And I will send you as a present, I will send you a tool or a TED Talk that will help you with your specific fear. And to finish the webinar, don't fear change, change fear. Whatever it is that you're facing at this moment, if it's a big fear or a small thing or just a challenge or just a decision, change your fear, listen to it. Take the time to listen to yourself and to treat yourself with love. You have the right to be heard, to be loved, and to make mistakes. And me and Floor from Feel at Home Abroad, we are happy to help. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. We offer coaching packages 4 or 8, depending on your question. And probably you would expect a discount at the end of the webinar. And we don't do discount because I also feel like that's not what you need. What I see mostly in coaches is that they have difficulties to spend it on themselves, like buying flowers. But it's so nice. Of course, you could do it alone, but it's nice that you have these planned sessions that we'll work on things together, that we can follow it up with a skilled professional. So I'm really happy to help, and also with the small questions. So let's open the lines, and whatever question. Oh, I guess you didn't see the PowerPoints in the films. Oh, you did. Okay, happy. Making mistakes is only human. So ask your questions. Don't be shy. We finished in exactly 30 minutes. You can see I'm Dutch. So I'm really looking forward to hear your questions, and also to see, maybe you want to share some experience. I will put the monster away. Let's see if there's any questions, Q&A. Do you know how to ask questions? There is, you have a different, you can ask, there is a Q&A you can ask, or you can just raise hand and ask questions. There's one, there's two. How do I know if I need help? Sounds a bit like always what I do as a coach. When you ask a question, I will answer with a question. How do you know if you need help? The first question was like, okay, if the question comes to your mind, what is it that you are struggling with? What is it that you would need help for? And then there's 2 ways to look at it. Can you do it alone? And basically it's like, what is the situation? What are the skills you have? What is the situation? Also, how would it be if you wouldn't do it alone? And then I think it's just probably you could do it without help, because maybe so far you've always done it. But ask yourself, where do you need help most? When I look at my coachees, I see some people who are more like the stable persons who are afraid to dream big and to throw themselves into the deep and do scary things. Usually they need some help, not to push them like, okay, jump, be courageous, but like, okay, what do you need before you can take the decision to do this thing? And there we analyze, like, is it really bad and something happened, or if it goes wrong? But if you feel like, no, I'm a very adventurous person, I always do everything, but then it doesn't work out, then probably you might need some help in your planning and analyzing the possible challenges. But maybe that's depends on your question. If you don't know what's your question, that's usually where we start. The first 2 sessions is like, what is your question? Because you know what your question is, but when I start asking you and we go to the deeper level, then you will find there's different questions that are more important to address. But they need the silence, they need the time to just sit down and not be in a hurry and really look like, why do I do this? What makes me sad? What makes me happy? And you know if you need help. And the best thing is just to schedule a free session so I can hear, please send me an email, I can hear your specific question. And then we can see, maybe a friend can help, maybe if you have like a trauma or a really difficult thing from the past you're dealing with, I would refer you to a psychologist. Or maybe it's just that you need some support to get the right answers and to see how you can get working. I hope that's answer your questions. Somebody else is afraid in making changes in relationships. That's a very good question. All questions are very good. Because so often we feel like if we don't change a certain situation, then we are safe. Like you're not happy, but if you're afraid to make changes, then you don't know if it will still work out. So one question could be like, if you don't change them, why would you want to change something? Obviously, there's something in you that you want to change something. What would be the change? And also, what makes you afraid to change, to make these changes in your relationship? Because sometimes we start together, but we all grow as persons and we develop ourselves in different ways. And you feel like we used to be really adventurous, but now I'm getting older, we have kids, and I want to slow down a bit. But you don't know if your partner still loves you the way you do, if you do this. And then the question is, be in touch with yourself and ask yourself like, yeah, but this is me, this is a need. Do I do it with my partner, with somebody else? That's a nice question. And if you're waiting, if you are doubting, like I want to ask my question as well, just throw it in and I'm answering them one by one. What am I if I'm afraid to contact you? Probably you know why you would be afraid to contact me. And I can only tell from experience that people are afraid, some are afraid when they contact me that I will ask the most difficult questions straight away, that their whole mask and the way they look at life will fall apart. But that's not what coaching is about, because I hope as a professional I'm always able to feel your fears and deal with it in the right timing. And that's also what I get from feedback from coaches. It's like, you were always challenging, but never too much, that the stretch was too much. And coaching is doing things together. We will set goals together. We will define your objective in coaching together. And I will always ask you, like, we're equal. I'll ask you to tell me when we are going too fast or not fast enough, or whether you feel you're really struggling. Every coaching session I finish asking like, okay, what could we do better? And what was really useful to it? So yes, if you're afraid of contacting a coach because you feel I'm taking over control, no, you will still be the one in control. But I will only help you. I will support you when needed. I will push you a bit when I feel you need it. Always checking, like, does it feel safe? Are you prepared for this? It's your life and you know best. Other questions? Yes, you can find more information. I will send you all a follow-up email, how you can contact me. I can go back to the screen. You can visit us at www.feelathehomeabroad. Floor's number is there, my number is there. We're on Facebook. You can like us, so you will be informed about future events. And my email is there, Floor's email is there, my phone number. Just send me a text message, WhatsApp message, and usually the easiest is don't complicate it too much, just contact us. Share your question, we'll call you back, because otherwise you're thinking and thinking and thinking. This is the moment. Just send me an email now, so I will drop your fear in the monster, and also to say, okay, can you contact me? I'll call you back. The first session is for free. And then you know, maybe you can do it alone, or maybe it's better to do alone. I think it's always more fun and better to do together. But it's up to you to decide. Or maybe you need some other type of professional. We work online, so the only countries where we can work is South Africa, Holland, and Brazil, because I live in Brazil. But we do online coaching, and we always try to match like time zones and backgrounds. Whether somebody's more, if you feel better to talk to the floor or to me, and it's always in the time that's most convenient to you. Somebody says, sounds like a stupid question, but I'm afraid to pick up the phone. If you listen to the general, it's not about the big fears, the big sharks. It's also about the little things. If you have this new job this person is writing, and she's afraid she has to make many phone calls, and she's afraid to pick up the phone, first stop and see, why do you feel scared to pick up the phone? And I don't know, you can tell me. You prefer to, when you see a face, it works easier for you. Always first look at the past. Like, do you have like great experience where you were really successful, really happy for talking on the phone? Try to learn from it, but also did you somewhere make mistakes, or was there really bad experience in talking to people on the phone? And learn from that, but also see if your struggle is that you feel you're talking to this phone, it feels so impersonal. What I used to work in a call center selling, I was one of those awful salespersons, is put a picture on the wall of a smiling man or smiling woman, depending on if you prefer to talk to a man or women, and just pretend you're talking to this person, because that's like fear. Sometimes you have to analyze and really dig deep to find the real reason behind the fear, and sometimes it's also easy to solve it just by putting a picture. And then also see, like, okay, what would happen if somebody is really rude at the other end of the phone? Try to see, what does it say about him? And what does it say about you? How do you feel when people are talking that way to you? And then, of course, in coaching, we could see, like, okay, how do you deal with situations of conflict, or where people don't like you? How important is it to be liked by persons that maybe are rude? So lots of questions. Happy most of you are still with me. I would like to keep on continuing. I'm really curious about your fears or your struggles or even your success stories. Share them with us by email, or also tell them now. And we'll get back to you. And sometimes to get the real question, you just need a bit of more of time. Just take your time. And mostly I see that people, they don't ask it here, because of course I tell you nobody can see you, but you're not sure. So just send me a separate message, either through Facebook, on our website, or on my email. We'll be in touch. I'm really looking forward to hear your story. So thank you for joining us. If you feel this was helpful for you and you want to share it with friends, we recorded the webinar, so you can send it to your friends. It's free present. Let us know. So good luck with your fear. Send me an email and hope to see you again. Follow us on Facebook.